Hey y'all, this is Marie from our Okie Homestead. I've been not feeling so great for a while and didn't realize just how bad I had been feeling until I got really bad. So here I am, stuck in bed. So I figure I can't be working on any projects outside, so maybe I can finish some projects I started a few years ago inside. Watching certain channels like Rebecca Touched by Yarn and Backlash Fisherman on the Hobby Hour on Sundays has got me like wanting to get back to doing crochet. And so as bad as I want to start a new project and just do a granny square blanket, because I can do that and barely even have to keep up with counting or anything because granny squares are easy. I figured I would finish up on a few projects I had started before diving in and doing that. So this is crazy because this one project is just a matter of weaving in the ends and like kind of gathering the top, and that project's done. That's all it needs. And so I'm going to start with the most basic, simple one and work on getting that one done. But I just wanted to say, sometimes you get so wrapped up in projects that have to be done around the place and taking care of critters and whatever else, and you kind of might slack off on actually taking care of yourself. And so I'm going to tell y'all something that my mother told me a long time ago, and that's, if you don't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of anybody else or anything else? So, you got to take care of yourself. And sometimes that's just a matter of taking some supplements, making sure you're getting the vitamins that you need. And of course, the better you eat, the better you feel. It's just basically, take care of yourself. And even on your downtime, like what I'm having to go through, maybe there's other things that you can do while you're resting in bed. So I'll show you what I'm working on the crochet. I've just got to weave this in on this here at the bottom of it, which I had already started doing, and I thought, well, I'm working on to finish a project, so it's a hat. I know it doesn't look like a hat right now, but once the bottom is weaved in, then all I got to do is just gather all these little thingies. See, it'd be a hat like that with the little things on top. Instead of a pom-pom, you got these little swirly things. So anyway, and then I have to figure out who to give it to. Usually the grandkids or the kids end up with the stuff that I make. I pulled out one of my crochet books. This book right here of Vanna White's, I picked it up at Hobby Lobby a couple years ago. Let me show you what's in this book. What's interesting about this book is they show you how to make different squares. Okay? And so instead of just your typical granny square, you can have a tighter single crochet square, half double crochet square, double crochet square. The tighter the yarn is with the least amount of holes, the warmer it is, and heavier too. And then they have another one called Tiny Textures Square. Grit Stitch Square. I was playing a little bit with that one. And then one version of a granny square. And then Eyelet Lace Square. Open Work Square. Crisscross. Isn't that neat? I kind of like that. I may try that one. And then they show you, oops. Oh, there's another one too. I like this one too. The shells. The shell lace square. And webbed lace square. That one I'd be afraid our dogs would get their claws hung in it. Because I made my husband this granny square blanket a couple years ago. And every once in a while, one of the dogs, if you don't watch how long their claws get, they'll get hung up on the blanket and end up pulling the yarn a little bit. So anyway, this was just I just made a bunch of granny squares, different colors of the browns and the cream and whatnot, and just put them together. So, because that's the thing about the granny squares. For me, a lot of the patterns for blankets and throws and stuff, I didn't like the size of them. They all seemed to be kind of small. So I wanted to just throw a bunch of granny squares together and make it as big as I wanted to. This book with those different types of squares, she shows you how you put them together in different designs. Well, you wouldn't even absolutely have to do that. I mean, granny squares are like super simple, and I'm sure those other squares, once you got used to doing the square, you would be able to figure it out where you could probably sit there and do it and not even have to look at the instructions. Because like the granny squares, it's been a couple years since I even crocheted. Well, then I was playing around with my stitches, trying to keep track of everything, my blood pressures and when I'm taking the medicines and my supplements and whatnot. Let's see if I can fix this where y'all can see me. I always like get my squares going first and then weave in my ends. But like I said, I hadn't done it in a couple years, and so I was trying to, I lost my spot. I was trying to remember how to do it. And so that's what I've been doing. Sitting here, thought, well, I'll get a couple of them projects done that I had started. I have a couple blankets I had started. And so I'm going to, I put one chain between mine. Because if you do it, some patterns, these holes end up so big that after I'd done a few, I realized, well, I'm going to make them a little bit tighter. And so I changed it. Instead of having 2 between the 2 pieces and then 3 on the corners, I do 1, and then I only do 2 on the corners. And so it makes it to where there's not quite as big of holes in it. I mean, it looks pretty good size of holes right there, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't done any crochet in, and since I'm doing, it's doubles that I'm doing with the granny squares there, you loop over just like that, and then run it in that next hole, and then I run it like that. So right here is where I would do the 2, and then I'd loop over and go in the hole again since it's on the corner. That way it makes your corner. And there's 3 of them in a batch, I guess you could say. Since I'm just going to be connecting another one, there's only 1 chain, and then go to that next hole in order to connect it there. So I've just been playing around, kind of working with my tension because I hadn't done it in a while. And really, with the arthritis in my wrists and my hands, it's really good to do this. I feel like it helps keep my hands and wrists more limber doing this. And plus, I get blankets and whatever out of it. I've made other things. It's just that, you know, if you're not feeling well, being able to do something that you really don't have to think a lot about it, like trying to follow a pattern you've never done or something, makes it harder to actually get it done. Now, what I've been doing here is the 1 and then this chain of 3 where you start. That's where I connect it with a slip stitch. And then that way they're back together again. I turn around and turn it around. And then chain 3. And then go back in that same hole. Whoops. There we go. Loop over. Like this. And then chain 1. And then go to the next hole. So here, since it's a corner, I would chain 2 again, and then go back down in there into the same hole because it'd be in the corner. And then do the 3 more. So it's basically As you're going along, you would you would do three doubles, chain one, loop over, next hole, pull it up, and then put them together. Not sure if I'm doing it 100% right. I'm not a professional crocheter. I just started this, probably about 10 years ago when I started getting sick with the autoimmune stuff. And basically, if I wasn't working, I was stuck in bed. And you just keep going from hole to hole. I mean, it's like you sit here and you don't even have to really think about it so much. They got me hooking again, y'all. Look at this. They got me hooking again. That's the whole thing, is Rebecca with Touched by Yarn and Backlash Fisherman, they both inspired me to just pick up my hook again. I had already been thinking about it when Butler Family Farms sent me some mail, and she had that little crochet ornament in there. And it just, something about it just kind of set me off to really want to get after it again. And so I started digging my bags with the projects in them out of the closet, and figured I'd go ahead and finish some projects I started. You see I got company? Yeah, Pepper the Min Pin. Yeah. She spends a lot of time with us. Anytime we're sitting or laying, she got to be right up beside us. This is one of them that you'll hear the little high-pitched bark whenever we're trying to head to the barn, and she's having a fit because she wants to go with us. But she don't get to go with us because she don't listen, do you, Pepper? Do you, Pepper? Are you a good girl? Are you a good girl? Huh? Are you a good girl? Yeah. Yeah, she likes to come over and get cozy and warm. You want to get under the covers with me? No? No? You're just going to... Oh, you want my food. You ain't going to get my food. Yeah. Yep. Dear husband, I'm eating in bed, so he brought me some lunch. So I'm going to get off of here, and I'm going to take my medicine and eat my lunch and get back to it. So I just wanted to show y'all that take care of yourself, for one. And for another, even if you take time to rest, you can still do things. Projects, write out. If you're not doing anything like the any kind of crafting to make stuff, you can always set it up to where you can sit and rest and, I don't know, work on your accounting part of your farm. I don't want to say the three-letter word, so I won't. But you can work on stuff like that. You can do research while you're stuck in bed. You can watch all your YouTube buddies while you're stuck in bed. I've had the TV going and my phone going at the same time, watching different channels at the same time and seeing what they're doing. I'm feeling a whole lot better. It's been like 8 days or so now, I think, or 9 days stuck here. Trip to the ER, trip to the doctor. I should have rested when I felt like I needed to rest. That's a hard thing to do when you feel like you got 50 million projects to do. But you know what? Those projects are still going to be there waiting for me, I'm sure. So y'all have a good one.